I'm Andrew Useem, and this is Devex Impact. We're here with Stan Litow, Vice President for Corporate Citizenship and Corporate Affairs at IBM. Thanks for being here.
Happy to be here.
There's a lot of talk at this BCLC conference about being at a moment where we see that transformation from a corporate philanthropy model to that sustainable impact model based around the core business units. Do you see that playing out at IBM, or is that something that already happened at IBM?
It started 20 years ago, where we shifted the focus of what IBM did from check writing and checkbook philanthropy into systemic reform, built largely out of innovations that came out of the IBM research laboratories. At IBM, we spend $6 billion a year on research, more than any other company on the planet. And citizenship is integrated into the research choices that we develop, how innovations are developed. I'll give you a couple of examples. We created a new way to teach children how to read using voice recognition technology. That was a citizenship activity where millions of children have learned how to read, but IBM has secured patents, be able to build it into products and services that we sell for our clients. But when you talk about something that has a real value, the real value is integrated to the company's business strategy, but also integrated into the company's role in society. If you sort of look at how corporations have approached these things, they started off with people who made a lot of money for their companies, and they became personal philanthropists. Ford, Rockefeller, Carnegie. It wasn't about how they did their business. It was about their personal philanthropy. And some of those philanthropic organizations are very important today. And then we saw a transformation in the 20th century where companies began to think about their own practices, especially the latter half of the 20th century. And generosity was the goal, just to find good things to do with a small amount of your profit, pegged at 1% or 2% of NEBT. Now we're looking at a 21st century model.
To follow up on that, in 5 years, how will the landscape look differently?
Well, I would say that citizenship would be so central to the business practices of the company that you wouldn't be able to find it missing in any function of the company. And that would be the case for a company, but also for all of its clients as well.
IBM has already then walked down that road that it seems many other companies will be following. What is your advice for those companies on what kind of challenges can they expect and opportunities as they make that shift from the check writing model to that business integration model?
Well, I think they would fall into three different categories. One is structural and governance, because a lot of companies isolate their corporate philanthropy or their corporate citizenship apart from the business, and you've got to integrate it. And that's one of the things that we've done, because we pull together all the relevant departments through an integrated steering committee that manages corporate citizenship at IBM. I chair it, but I have people from HR and people from the corporation in terms of a governance standpoint, people from government programs, people from supply chain management, the environment. So you have an integrated global strategy. So it's step number one is how you structure it. Step number two is how you evaluate the metrics that you use to evaluate whether or not you get a return on your investment. We look at things like talent, recruitment and retention of talent. We look at technological value, the way in which we've been able to increase the company's knowledge and power to incorporate. We look at the branding and the brand value. We look at media and the opportunities there. And we also look at the degree to which you have become more valuable to socially responsible investment funds, and are they, as a consequence of your work, actually buying more of your stock and providing bottom line metric evaluation for your shareholders. So that's the way we do it. I'm not saying that that's the only way, but you've got to have clear metrics. And finally, you've got to integrate it to get the full buy-in from senior leadership of the company. If it's thought of as something that is only aligned with a personal interest of your CEO or a particular senior executive, this is my third CEO at IBM, and I think one of the things that's important is developing that interest and continuity based upon real value and real return.
When it comes to emerging markets, where you have the donor governments, the public sector, the multilaterals, from the position at IBM, how do you see that relationship evolving? What could the donors be doing better?
The lesson to the international development community is to be less siloed, less separate programmatically, and much more integrated in terms of coming up with solutions, and much more aggressive and interested in full collaboration, especially with the private sector. Roughly 35 or 36% of what we do through our corporate citizenship program is in the growth markets. And it's not separate from what we do every place else, but it's focused in on creating economic return and economic value. I think that there's a lesson for other companies, but there's also a lesson for the international development community.